Me está haciendo la vida de cuadritos. And welcome to Shift+F1, a podcast about speed race cars. That, by the way, is a Mexican Spanish idiom, meaning they're making my life into little squares.
Wow.
Which is, it's an expression for when someone is making your life difficult or stressful. After this weekend, Oscar Piastri's life is looking significantly more pixelated. I'm Drew Scanlon. Joining me, Danny O'Dwyer. How are you, Danny?
I'm real good. Sorry I couldn't make it onto the pod last week. I was in the Australian outback enjoying the various animals. Speaking of squares, did you know wombats poop in squares?
What?
Yeah, their poops are little Minecraft, little animal Minecraft poops. They're like... Yeah, they're actually
running voxels down there in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. They have also shot to the top of my favorite animal list.
Wow.
I met a particularly charming wombat outside of the town of Eden called Paddy. He let me scratch his butt and his nose. He made a lot of funny noises. They also kill predators with their arses. They have the toughest butts in the animal kingdom, apparently. They're just like thick cartilage and bone. They run into their little holes in the ground. Sorry, Rob, I will allow you to speak on this podcast soon. They run into their little holes, and then like a fox or something tries to bite their butt and can't. So they try and squeeze but then the wombat sort of makes a little vacuum so the fox can like try and get above them, and then the wombat crushes the skull, like twerks
like Super Mario
them to death. Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
Wombats, love them. Great times in Australia, loved it.
Incredible. Also joining us, Rob Zachney. How are you, Rob?
I'm just taken with that description of a very charming wombat. Danny made it sound like, I don't know, there's just something about that wombat. I've been living a lie. I'm leaving my wife. I have to go run away with this wombat. We're going to journey the world together.
Danny, you've also brought the animal kingdom into your recording studio.
Yeah, apologies.
So,
if look, we know it's Halloween week, but if those of you listening to this podcast are starting to hear like scratching on the walls, or little tweets, not the social media kind, it most likely is the 3 small chicks. I mean, they're pullets now. They're 6 weeks old. Chickens that are in my room right now. They're not quite fluffy enough. The plumage isn't in yet to bring them outside for the nighttime. It's still dropping a little bit cold. They got another week or so.
You got a light bulb going?
I don't at the moment. I have a heating table basically. It does the same thing as the bulb. The heat bulb, but it's slightly less of a fire risk because we were we were off camping this weekend. So yeah. Sorry if you hear chicken noises. That is me, and I will be working with the good people at Adobe Premiere to see if this noise gate can get rid of chickens. So we'll see what happens.
Great. Well, I might be a little loopy this morning because I thought, you know what? I like baseball. Why don't I watch the World Series is on. Why don't I turn on the baseball game?
How many innings did it go to?
18.
What? You're kidding.
I watched 2 baseball games last night. Back to back.
I did not know. That is nuts.
Yes.
All
kinds of records were set. The organist in the ballpark, I guess, ran out of music, started playing the Gilligan's Island theme.
That is crazy.
It was bonkers. So going to 18 innings means that in the middle there's an entire game of baseball where nothing happens.
Oh my God.
No scores. Still riveting. One of the best things I've seen in my life.
And it was only 5-6. So it was just like nobody scored for what? For 9 innings, nobody scored.
At least, yeah.
When I went to bed, it was 4-4. And I was like, yeah, I'll find out how this went. I'm so pissed I went to sleep because seeing a sport go off the rails like that or like explore the outer, it's like my other favorite thing is like, when a hockey game goes deep into like multiple overtime periods, and it's like you start seeing the logic of the game stretch past its breaking point, where it's like we just don't have like what was it I saw like 450 pitches last night.
Yeah, they started running out of balls. Both teams went through their entire bullpens,
including starters,
including starters. Yeah,
incredible.
they almost had to dip into, for the Blue Jays, it would have been the following game's pitcher would have had to come in.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And for the Dodgers, the previous game's pitcher, who had pitched the entire game, volunteered to come in. Thankfully, they didn't need him, but like, that's falling on a sword. Shuhei Ohtani set the MLB postseason record for getting on base like 9 times because they just kept walking him.
Hey, he could have kept some of those absolute beans for this game. You know what I mean? He was like knocking him out for fun last week.
Well, they wouldn't pitch to him. He probably wouldn't have.
They walked him 9 times.
Well, yeah, almost, yeah. Wow. It was crazy. Love sports. So let's talk about some.
Let's talk about some sports.
Yeah. If you're new to this podcast, a very warm welcome to. And if you are new to Formula One itself, we've got an episode just for you. Our preseason primer episode. All you baseball fans coming in going like, what's all this Formula One stuff about? Our preseason primer assumes no prior F1 knowledge and explains how the sport works and who everybody is. So if you'd like to go back and listen to that, it's episode 298. Also, this show would not be possible without our audience over at patreon.com/shiftf1, where every month we release ad-free versions of the podcast early, along with bonus pods and videos exclusively for our patrons that cover racing documentaries and films, F1 video games, experiments with other racing series, and a lot of weird things. So if you would like to support the show and get access to all that fun stuff, head over to patreon.com/shiftf1 or click the link in the show notes. What do we have going on this month, Danny?
We're going to be recording and releasing a podcast on Samhain itself, All Hallows Eve, Halloween, and we are going to be talking about the spookiest car movie or the best spooky car movie according to our patrons who voted for this Democracy Manifest. Christine from 1983.
Well, sort of democracy,
Sort of.
because they voted and there was a tie, and then we declared a winner.
Yeah, it's like first past the post, I guess, and we just like, as the authority, we decided that the people really wanted Christine, and not, what was the other one?
Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, so apparently people really wanted, what was that Sly Stallone one? There was some people in the comments saying, I can't believe you guys didn't stick in some Sly Stallone car movie. I
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I went through those and I added what we quote unquote missed to our giant spreadsheet, so it's there.
Hey, we'll always have. We did Driven, so you know we like it.
There's cars and demolition, man.
That's true.
Ooh, there are. You know, they reused those cars for another movie. The cars from Demolition Man, they reused
Blade
them
Runner?
in Super Mario Brothers.
Oh.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Were they all beat up?
Yeah.
That's really funny. Wow. You know what? I would have liked Wesley Snipes in Super Mario Brothers. I think that,
Sure.
you know, as much as I love Bob Hoskins as Mario, God, what a movie. I need to watch that
All
again.
these Goombas trying to ice skate uphill.
Yep. Everyone's favorite line from Demolition Man. Right there.
That's right.
And he does the smiley face fist thing. Sorry, that doesn't work. This is an
And you know who
audio
else is
podcast.
trying to ice skate uphill is Oscar Piastri, as his season is on the line.
And thanks to all our vampire patrons, I Ching Wells, Dr. V.
Kind of the opposite of vampire, really. It's like we're the vampires,
That's true.
and there are thralls.
oh, great
It's a
pull.
little unfortunate, but like it's kind of what we're doing.
Thralls.
Oh,
That's a great
hey, shout outs to all our little Renfields.
Yes.
Who are our Renfields this month? Danny?
Shout out to the Blood Bags, I Ching Wells, Dr. V, a show that's been on Paramount Plus for months, Mad and Harmony, Deange, It's a Me Ferrario, Big Oil, Mojo Nixon Racing F1, Get Rich O'Die Ryan, Agave ATX, Cyphus Training, Turf SCS, Michael Maves, Cigarillos, TelemetryDeck.com, FTC, Tracy Syntax, Drew Stewart, Bailey Foot, Jason Chadwick, Abraham Getchell, celebrating 40 years of bunny crimes. Snakes, HireThisWalker.com, Alex Goucher, Max Voltar Keyboards, Jeff Foster, Troy Stammer, William Rumpf, Lachlan the Maddened Man, Samurai Love Story, and of course, Jason Kelly. Thank you all so much for supporting us, you heroes, keeping our livery covered in your beautiful, beautiful names, and also cigarillos.
I enjoyed the Paramount Plus jab. That's a real F1 in joke. All of the ads around the edges of the track for
Landman season 2.
Yep. Halo, Lioness, whatever, Anyway.
Miss you, Halo. You were a good show.
Yeah, I still haven't watched season 2, All right, let's get to the Mexican Grand Prix, everyone. Starting with the grid. On top, Lando Norris, nearly 3/10 ahead of the rest of the field.
Dominant performance. That quali was like a he is locked in type statement, because it was, this track evolution. It was getting pretty close, but he nailed that final lap, and he was doing that kind of all through quali.
According to the race, the-race.com, Lando Norris now turns off the delta time on his dash so that he can focus during qualifying.
So he's not looking at it. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
He can't tell if he's up or behind on his previous times.
It was funny. Quality conditions were slightly different because the temperature on the track kept going up all weekend, so they had sort of weird data for it. But he does prefer those slick, those slippery, low grip tracks, which also might explain the half a second gap between him and Piastri, perhaps.
Yeah, Piastri really didn't seem comfortable the whole weekend. Andrea Stella, team principal at McLaren, attributed Piastri's qualifying performance to Piastri not being as familiar with the car as Norris is. He's been in fewer years, especially as it pertains to low grip conditions, which there were, Danny, as you said, in Mexico, a lot of dust on the track.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it later when we're chatting about how the two of them did. But yeah, it's between this and there's lots of stuff to talk about, obviously, with regards to his form. But between this and the USGP, they are both tracks that favor Lando's driving style a bit more, who enjoys a bit of give on the back of the car.
Lando's first pole since Spa of this year. He sits ahead of Charles Leclerc in second, and Lewis Hamilton in third. The Ferraris going 2-3 in qualifying. George Russell will line up fourth, followed by Max Verstappen. He'll be the first to start on the medium tires, as opposed to the softs for everyone else. 4 new parts on his car this weekend. The Red Bull have brought in to try to keep him in the championship hunt.
I don't think Red Bull have traditionally been great here. Am I crazy for thinking that? Is there something to do with the altitude or? I guess the A1 ring is pretty high as well. What was there? There's some crazy fact about this one about the pole winner not winning the race multiple years.
Max has won 3 in the last 5 years.
Okay, well, forget that.
And Red
Bull, they would have been the 3 from the first 3, presumably.
I think the stats actually the opposite, Danny. They did cite this. That this is a track that is unusually, I think, favorable to the pole winner. So it's actually sort of an outlier in the direction of leading from flag to flag.
Actually, when you look at Tsunoda's quality, that would back that up. But I'm just interested in why we think Verstappen, after being so dominant for the past handful of races in quali as well, ended up finding himself in 5th this race.
There are some articles on such sites as the-race.com, racefans.net, autosport.com. People are wondering. But we're here to tell you what the heck happened. But we will have news later. Kimi Antonelli lines up 6th, Oscar Piastri 7th. He qualified 8th, though. We'll get to why he and everyone behind him bumped up a bit. Isaac Hadjar will start 8th. Oliver Behrman in 9th, and Yuki Tsunoda starts 10th. Followed by Esteban Ocon. Carlos Sainz starts 12th. He qualified 7th, but carries a 5-place grid penalty for causing a collision in Austin. Nico Hülkenberg will be 13th, followed by Fernando Alonso, Liam Lawson, Gabriel Bortoleto, Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, and Franco Colapinto. Albon and Colapinto, the only drivers to start on the hard tire. Danny, do you want to take us through the start?
Sure. Action-packed start. Lando got a great start, first of all. And so did Hamilton, as him and Leclerc sort of battled their way up the order. Leclerc was started in second, right? And it was Hamilton in third.
Yep.
Yeah, it was Hamilton. Decent qualifying for him as well. He's not been awesome in that one. Verstappen though,
He said he felt like he was finally hooked up in the car this weekend.
Nice.
So fingers crossed that continues for him.
So Leclerc attempts to get off the inside of Norris, which forces, the outside of Norris. He's a good bit behind him though. He's mostly defending off of Hamilton. Hamilton then gets squeezed a little bit on the outside, and then squeezed even further onto the rumble strips. The dusty rumble strips was Max Verstappen, who was attempting to get around both of the Ferraris. So Lando pretty much had the first corner, and then you had 3 wide between them. There might have been slight contact, maybe rubber on rubber between the Ferraris, but in general, Max just didn't have grip and ended up getting forced wide by... it was the Hamilton on the inside and Leclerc in between the two of them, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry. Getting forced wide. So he ends up cutting across turn 1 and using the exit road. Leclerc also bails out and cuts across the exit road as well. Someone else at the back does as well. I think it's Liam Lawson or something. So you have...
A few people, Antonelli and Piastri, I think,
Right.
both kind of follow Leclerc's line and go wide into turn 1.
And Piastri gets gobbled up by a couple of people as well during this little fracas. He ends up going, I think, from 7th down to 9th.
I think that allows Behrman, I think it is, to move up a few spots.
Right. I think Bortoletto was getting involved there in some regard. So what happens is you basically have Leclerc, who just cut across the track real sharply out in front. Verstappen rejoining behind Lando, so he's in 3rd, and they all have to basically figure out how to allow the people back they think they should allow back so that they don't get a penalty without leaving too many places back. So you have Leclerc sort of coming off the gas, leaving Lando past. You have Verstappen then sort of dancing between the two Ferraris. Like he leaves Hamilton past, but like not that much, and then tries to fight him on the next turn. But it does raise this interesting question between Leclerc and Hamilton, where Leclerc, you could argue, left the track and gained an advantage because he kept that place, even though Hamilton was like toe-to-toe with him the entire way down, and arguably wasn't ahead of him, but his nose was further forward. And it made me think like, oh, is this something we don't adjudicate? Because they didn't even get like a stewards are looking into this. So I was like,
this struck me as like absolute, like we had coward stewards this week
Right.
where the only thing that they were going to adjudicate was like if there was a clear like infraction where they can look at a white line and call it,
Right.
And they don't have to make a decision. But yeah, I was kind of floored at how they handled this. I think it really comes down to this definition of like what is gaining an advantage, and the marshals seem to be like, and to be fair, Karun Chandok also seemed to see it this way. I just don't see how you arrive at this conclusion. But basically, the argument is they were in the positions when they left the track. They held on to those positions. Ergo, they didn't gain an advantage. The thing is, you were going to lose a position because you were out of position. You weren't making the corner. You were at a disadvantaged line. You'd been squeezed. You were going to lose at least a position, probably multiple, unless you do exactly what they did, which was floor it over the grass and rejoin. And everyone behind them who takes the chicane gets fucked. And that to me is the material point. We're talking about gaining advantage. I think part of what gaining advantage is like being able to hold a position or like save yourself from like taking a hit on lap time when like by breaching track limits. When if you made a good faith effort to stay in,
right,
you probably would have had to shed a ton of time.
Yeah, I think it emphasizes or it encourages the non-good faith effort, because if you take, it's not even a risk. You do the crazy move, and if it doesn't work, you go, well, I tried and I'll give the place back, and I didn't gain any advantage there. But if it does work, then you've got the place. I think this is really Verstappen's impact on the sport. This is where he really shines, is that he takes the he he looks at the rule book and he forces the stewards to contend with what it says in there. And it doesn't surprise me that more drivers are capitalizing on this style.
Yeah, I can see how it's similar in some ways to the way he sort of, deals with which car was ahead, or being forced off track elements of his game. What solves this problem though? Gravel.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. To be fair, Max almost did end his race in that first corner. Like, the in-car is him slicing by that wall by, like, inches. He gets control of the car right in time to finish making the corner, because he had literally run out of circuit area. Like, he was the limits of the facility.
He was, drifting. It was like, oh, this is somebody who's, like, driven quads in a field. Like, was able to, like, deal with the... Like, because you can see him, like, lose it and get it back and get it back and then lose it, get it back. And then
all that time golf cart racing.
Yeah.
He's really gotten a feel for it. So, like, he almost did sort of come to the natural penalty of getting into a shunt over it. But, yeah, there's a bit of, like, this is sort of where Max has impacted the sport, but I also think Max has always played on the fact that in a lot of cases the stewards will just kind of freeze when they're handed ambiguous situations, and they don't really
especially lap 1, turn 1.
Yeah. But it did seem like Russell was extremely hot under the collar about it on the radio, and then after the race saying that it was like a lawnmower race, that people can just leave the track, go over the grass, and it doesn't matter. They're allowed to stay where they are, and I think that's the real problem. I can only be so heated about this because it was kind of awesome, right? And so I don't want to be the person where we need to do more things that will like cost us interesting action in F1, but the complete non-assessment of any kind of consequence here. Two people in like Russell's position, Hamilton's position, it did kind of leave them a little bit in the lurch and got them stuck behind cars that probably they should have been ahead of following this first corner. And there's gradient of penalties that they can assess to just like wrist slap people who test the limits in these understandable situations like lap 1, turn 1. They just didn't do anything, which made it all the more kind of jaw-dropping when you saw what they decided to enforce strictly much later in the race.
Well, that is lap 1. We are going to take a quick break, and then we will be back with the rest of the race. All right, so I did not see what happened to Lawson, but he retired around lap 5.
He had contact on at turn 1, I think it was.
Some fracas, some turn 1 related.
Yeah, and then he came back around.
Got broken, and they did a replacement, and then they pulled him in for retirement a little ways later. So there must have been some deeper compromise.
I think it was because he attempted to murder a marshal. Is that what we're saying? Is that what the narrative is on that? He came into the pits and they had a look at him, and then they sent him out again. And when the VSC came in, which we'll talk about in a second, he was put out. And I guess they sent the marshals out. They gave them the all clear for something, and then to remove Davey from the track, and then I guess rescinded it when they realized where Lawson was. But I think the signal didn't go out to two of them. They ran across the track, and there's lots of footage of him. Not as bad as the Perez and Monaco one a few years ago. Remember that? Where the guy like stopped and Perez went in front of him, like right at the
I don't remember
start.
that.
Perez exiting the pits, I believe it was. And they were jumping back over the wall, and so one of them ran past and one of them stopped, and he went between the two of them. That was pretty bad.
Oh,
I think
boy.
it was before COVID, because it might have been 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the show notes to some videos of this, but it's harrowing. It's scary. And Lawson was like, "Geez, what happened? I could have killed these guys." It's scary.
Yeah, not cool. Yeah, hopefully there's some look into it. We've gotten any time that there is human beings, there are in the past that people have lost their lives because of this stuff in F1 and other sports. So yeah, it's pretty serious. It's also dangerous for the driver. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hitting somebody and collecting them.
So Lawson retires. Lap 6, Verstappen now attacks Hamilton, diving up the inside. The two, I think, bang wheels at turn 1, and Hamilton keeps his nose in at turn 2, which doesn't leave any room for Verstappen on the exit. So Verstappen once again has to go onto the grass. Verstappen is ahead on the inside as they come into turn 4. Hamilton then locks up on the outside and has to cut the corner, coming out ahead of Verstappen.
Well, crucially, he cuts the corner, but the little exit road that they have, this like tiny little concrete strip that's going through the grass.
Is it even wide enough for a car? Like,
I know.
So Hamilton had to take it in free practice 3 this weekend. So he knows it's there.
I was trying to figure out whether or not it was the camera angle, or is this just like the tiniest little strip of concrete, because it looks like a ridiculous little baby road. It also looks like
take the pedestrian path to the garden.
It's like a bike path or something, and it also looks like it gets less wide the longer it goes on. So it's like almost like a little.
It's also a really sharp corner.
It is,
which is kind of antithetical to it being an escape road.
Yes.
Like, so if you couldn't make the corner before, and now you're off in the dirty, like, because these aprons of concrete that are used to sort of widen the corner for safety, that's not good grip. And so it did kind of seem like, well, if I couldn't make that corner, why are you confident I can make this one, as I'm still trying to like get control of the car?
It's like a 90-degree onto the little escape bike path. And
grass everywhere.
And then it comes in at like a worse angle than if you cut it. So I'm a little bit sympathetic to him. But, I mean, them's the brakes. Those are the rules. And he didn't use the escape road. And when that happens, it's almost like speeding in the pit lane. They're going to get you for it.
Yes, he is handed a 10-second penalty. It would also... So this opens the door for Behrman, who then goes side by side with Verstappen as they exit turn 6. Then drag race down to turn 7. Behrman brakes late, barely keeping it on the track, and seals 4th place. Verstappen tries to fight back, but has a slide exiting the corner and drops back.
Well, I think he also picks up Russell right before that. I think Antonelli gets him too, because I think Russell gets balked by Max coming back onto the track. So that's there are other parts of this where like they're going to get Hamilton for this penalty, but you have a Max dive bomb attack on Hamilton, and then kind of iffy, is that a safe rejoin? Are you driving responsibly out there? Other drivers are trying to avoid collisions. All this also doesn't get even investigated by stewards. It's just like, that's racing.
So let's see. Piastri, we're now on lap 11. Gets by Tsunoda on the main straight with DRS for 8th place, trying to stop the bleeding here. Lap 18, Sainz gets, this is a weird one, a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, apparently due to some problem with the car's pit limiter or something. Like he's driving down the pit lane and it's bouncing around, like it's sort of surging. And it also happens on his second pit stop. So that earns him an even worse penalty, a drive-through. So he's
second pit stop, though, if it's a limiter issue, the answer is don't use the limiter and just stand in the pit lane. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of the limiter was malfunction. I can see that catches you out. The second time he does it, if it really was just the limiter not like behaving correctly and sort of keeping the revs down where the speed is going to be below the limit, the second one kind of confuses me. Because at that point, wouldn't you just be off the power and like sort of
just be super conservative, kind of?
Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm a great armchair F1 driver, but I'm with Rob on this. I was also like, again, all right, okay. Did you fix it? No. Do you know, or do we know what's wrong? Like, yeah, let's just, because those penalties are a killer here.
Yeah.
It's
Lap
a
24.
short lap, you know.
It is, yeah. Hamilton pits on lap 24. It serves his 10-second penalty, which elevates Behrman to third place. We also get some fun radio with Verstappen's engineer, GP, leaving the button latched while he talks to the strategist.
Oh, you're
This
kidding.
is fascinating. I've never seen this before. He says something to Verstappen, and then he goes, so we on a 1-stop or a 2-stop at the moment? And Verstappen's like, I can hear you.
That's
Also,
brilliant.
maybe not the things I want to hear from my race engineer.
No.
Because it sounds like he's literally like,
24 laps
fuck,
in?
Max, shit, I didn't think Max would be in touch. I've been too... Hey, guys,
Hey, he
I've been
wants to
super
know.
checked out.
When is my wedding anniversary again? Oh no, sorry, you weren't meant to hear that. Yeah, sorry.
Hey, we doing a 1-stop? A 2-stop? I don't... He wants to know. I don't... Just let me know.
Do we put fuel in the car, right?
Yeah, it's
91?
alarmingly
87?
checked out.
Is 87 okay? Okay. It's not diesel, right? It's not diesel? Okay.
Especially because GP of maybe any race engineer seems like the most like
Dialed in.
I have everything under control.
Yeah.
Glimpse behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
to Max. Max, everything's under perfect control. To the rest of the team. Whew, boys.
What
I
are we
just
doing?
don't know what's happening here.
It could be just good process that like they're keeping those, you know, no bad questions in Britain. No bad.
Yep.
Where like keep let's not assume that everything I know is happening, and we keep asking the obvious questions to make sure we're all on the same page. It could be something like that, but yeah, it was pretty funny.
Lap 38 Verstappen. So he is on the medium soft strategy, as it turns out, the 1-stop GP. He finally pits on lap 38 and comes out in 8th behind Hamilton, who again is on that other strategy, soft, medium. Russell, not having a good time. He is stuck behind his teammate, who he believes is slower than him, and has Piastri behind him, and is being told to keep his tire temps down. Speaking of great radio, needless to say, he'd really like the team to let him past Antonelli, and lets them know in no uncertainty.
He has a good like sort of like he pleads his case. He's like, I'm gonna like wrap up. I'm gonna say like 6 sentences here and just like let you. This is where I am. It was like a little rant. I loved it. It was like the type of thing you can do on the straight. You know, it's like harder to you got a little bit of time to talk to have a little rant. It was great.
Well, it seems like forever, but finally on lap 41, Mercedes does tell them to swap positions, both doing well to not let Piastri through during the swap into turn 4. And then in the end of that, Russell is 2.1 seconds to the third place. Behrman, Rob, you are shaking your head.
So it occurred to me midway through this that like Toto wasn't there this weekend.
Oh, funny.
And
Daddy's
apparently
away.
acting principal sort of for this weekend was Bradley Lord, the comms guy who does those awful interviews with Sky. But it did just sort of seem like is a load-bearing part of team decision-making infrastructure not present here, because this was a fumble. Obviously, like it was clear they needed to get Russell out of Antonelli's wake there, and they just kind of froze on making that call until the damage had largely been done. Right? They sort of maximized the damage that this could inflict, and then made the swap. But by that point, like an eternity had passed.
Yeah.
I kind of understood where
George is coming
Russell
from.
was so pissed.
Yeah.
The comms were hilarious. I have a McLaren up my ass. Do you want me to let him by? Yeah, that was fantastic.
So Russell is 2.1 seconds to Behrman, trying to chase him down. Lap 47, Verstappen on his now new soft tires gets Hamilton with DRS into turn 12 for 7th place. Then Antonelli and Piastri, who's behind him now, both pit on lap 48 for their second stop. Piastri getting the better stop and jumping Antonelli in the pits, which we don't see very often. It's pretty cool. Behrman then covers them off, pitting a lap later and staying ahead. And pretty much everyone else in the top 10 pits too. Most people having started on mediums did a 1 stop, and those who started on softs had to 2 stop. The exceptions here are Norris and Leclerc, who did go soft medium, but enjoyed relatively clear air for the whole race. And then the upshot of this is that with so many other 2 stops, Verstappen is vaulted to 3rd place since he did that 1 stop starting on the mediums.
Yeah, he's got a decent lead, like 14, 15 seconds ahead of Behrman when this all sort of shakes out a little bit.
Yeah, so on lap 60, Piastri, having now netted out behind Russell after the pits, has caught up to him and takes a dive from way back up the inside of turn 1, taking 5th place and setting his sights on Behrman. Mercedes then swaps Russell and Antonelli back.
Yes,
so
they got a bit of a gap between them and Hamilton, so easily done.
And that's really got to be the kicker. Like, oh, well, it didn't work. Meanwhile, Verstappen is chasing down Leclerc, taking huge chunks of time out of him every lap. His soft tires in much better shape than Leclerc's ragged mediums. But instead of seeing the fruition of Piastri on Behrman and Verstappen on Leclerc, Carlos Sainz pulls over with a problem, and we get a virtual safety car in the final 2 laps. We do eventually finish under green, but not with enough time for anyone to pass.
Yeah.
Both sets of commentators pointing out that Sainz was in a safe place and going like, well, what, why?
Yeah, it was
what's with this?
It was a bit of a
And
weird
then after the race, the stewards explained in this quote from race fans, Sainz's car, subsequently began smoking, and race control received notifications of fire, making it clear that marshal intervention would be required for recovery.
Was it in the stadium section? Like kind of like at the end of it? Yeah, okay. That's fair enough because they're going to have to have folks running across with fire extinguishers and whatnot. But yeah, it was funny watching the 2 of them drive down the back straight, because that was at that stage this was the only place that Verstappen would have a chance to overtake was turn 1 on the final lap, and the 2 of them were like warming their tires like formation lap style right behind each other, because the thing about the VSC is they get like a heads up, but it's like, you know, it's ending in like 3 seconds. You could see and Max is generally quite good at restarts, so you could see a world in which he just threw it up the inside, but as you said, they were halfway through that final lap by the time it went green, so the opportunity had passed.
Yeah. But Lando Norris takes the opportunity to win the Mexican Grand Prix by over 30 seconds.
Yeah. He had it this weekend.
He sure did, and takes the championship lead by a single point.
Yeah, Piastri did a good job making up some of those. You know, it could come down to single digits on this one. So, he did a good job in that latter half of the race to eke back some positions and ultimately end ahead of where he had qualified.
Yes, indeed. Finishing second is Charles Leclerc, and rounding out the podium, Max Verstappen on that medium soft strategy.
We almost,
look at this.
Almost had a Haas podium. First ever would have been.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it wasn't like it was down to the wire,
no.
But pretty great. Oliver Behrman finishing 4th, his career best finish, and ties Haas's best ever finish with a 4th place.
Nice work.
Behind him, the former championship leader, Oscar Piastri, comes home in 5th. And then we've got Kimi Antonelli, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Esteban Ocon, and Gabriel Bortoleto in 10th. Before heading to his home race in Brazil. Behind them, Yuki Tsunoda just outside the points, followed by Alex Albon, Isaac Hadjar, Lance Stroll, Pierre Gasly in 15th, then Franco Colapinto, and the DNFs of Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, who retired on lap 34, Nico Hulkenberg, who retired on lap 25, and Liam Lawson, who retired on lap 5.
I wonder if Gasly and Colapinto got, what is it when you don't if you're so far back to your 2 laps back, they give you like a special designation. I forget what it was, but Gasly was like almost 40 seconds behind Stroll. So like they were just like, back in the days when qualification meant you had to qualify for a race, those Alpines might be struggling. They are really having a turd of a time.
Yeah. Well, shall we run down the current championship standings after the Mexican Grand Prix? This is some fascinating movement here. Lando Norris moves up a spot into first place with 357 points. Oscar Piastri behind him, 356 points.
Oh, boy.
Max Verstappen is now 35 points behind Piastri. So he's not mathematically out of it yet. The dream is still alive. George Russell is in fourth. Charles Leclerc fifth. Lewis Hamilton sixth. Kimi Antonelli is in seventh. Alex Albon in eighth. Nico Hulkenberg ninth. Isaac Hadjar in 10th. Just 2 points back from Hulkenberg. Sainz is 1 point back from Hadjar. Alonso is 1 point back from Sainz. And moving up 5 places in the championship with his 4th place finish is Oliver Behrman. He now has 32 points, tied with Lance Stroll. Then we've got Liam Lawson in 15th, tied on points with Esteban Ocon. Yuki Tsunoda in 17th, Pierre Gasly 18th, Gabriel Bortoleto 19th, and then Franco Colapinto and Jack Doohan with 0 points in 20th and 21st.
Did Stroll spin on his own in that turn 5, or did he get tapped? Does anyone know? There was so much that happened on lap 1, but there was a shot down one of those straights where you just see da, 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 da. He's just spinning in the background. Da, 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 da. You're like, the familiar sight of a spinning Stroll. Because we know it's not Alonso, exactly. Yeah. Alonso only spins no, I won't go there.
The Constructors' Championship also is seeing some movement here. McLaren, not in the first place, because McLaren has sealed the deal, of course, but Ferrari moves up a spot into second place with 356 points, 1 point ahead of Mercedes in third. Red Bull Racing is in fourth, followed by Williams in fifth. The Racing Bulls in sixth. Aston Martin in seventh, just 7 points ahead now of Haas, who jumps up 8 positions. Gene Haas and team after that 4th place from Behrman. And sorry, Ocon also got points, right? Yes, he got 2 points for his 9th place finish. So they are now 2 points ahead of Sauber in 9th and Alpine still in 10th.
What does Alpine have points-wise? 0?
20.
20, okay. God, what a weird season.
They're 40 points off of 9th place.
But they still have points. Like, it's, think of all the years where we've had just like a goose egg sitting back there. So I guess not as bad as in my head. But just what a wild season. Like, what is going on? Like, Ferrari just having this little end of season flurry. Verstappen getting involved in the championship. Piastri losing a 30+ point lead in the championship. There's so much going on. The development of these cars and their progress is often on this like sort of bell curve that you can sort of anticipate, but everyone's bell curve is a bit longer than someone else's. It's really fascinating, and I think it's gonna prove to be a very cool last few races here. Four to go, right?
Is that right?
Brazil, Vegas, Abu Dhabi, and
Qatar.
Is it?
Qatar.
Is it
Qatar, Abu Dhabi?
Oh, yeah, because they changed them because of Ramadan, right? I think this time around.
Not sure.
I mean, Ramadan.
If only there's no way to know.
I forget why. I did that months ago. I forget.
No, I think that's why Australia got moved back into its position toward the start of the season.
Oh, yeah. I never talked about driving around Albert Park. Did I?
I don't think you did.
Maybe I did talk about it, but I was too...
No, you Discorded us about it.
That's right. I sent you a bunch of Discord videos.
Recognize this?
Recognize this? I couldn't remember if this was something that I'd forgotten I talked about because I was white clawing it up on that Sydney podcast. But
Dad drunk.
It's great stuff, man. Hey, when in Australia, scratch a wombat's arse and drink some cans, some tinnies.
Some McClures.
First thing I did when I got down to Melbourne, so I decided to fly down. I met some Shift F1 patrons at the No Clip patron meetup as well down there, which was cool.
Nice.
And in Sydney, lots of F1 fans in Australia. But yeah, first thing I did, I flew down to Melbourne that morning, and then I got a rental car so I could drive back up the coast, which took a couple of days, which was very cool. But yeah, I got my rental car first in Melbourne. It was too early to check into the hotel. So I just this is my favorite thing to do when I love getting a rental car abroad. It gives you so much freedom, and you can just explore wherever you want. And you can go to weird places. And I just typed in Albert Park, and I saw the lake, and I was like, yep, that's it. I know what that looks like. And I drove down, and I was shocked how the work they do to convert that into an F1 track. So basically the whole track is drivable. It's just regular roads around this park. Some of it's one way, or it doesn't feed together. You can't, there's a part like where sector 2 and 3 meet where you can't cut across. I think you have to go back out into a surface street and come back in. At least that was my experience.
So you can't do the lap the way they do.
I don't think so. I had trouble finding. Maybe I could have messed up. Maybe there's a turn that I missed and I had to come back around. But everything's there. So yeah, the start-finish straight was just full of Pars carked to left and right because they were...
Pars carked.
Did I say Pars carked? Maybe I am 3 White Claws deep again. Who knows? They also have, hilariously, they have like sort of, I guess, bollards, like sort of alternating bollards on that start-finish straight, presumably to stop people from just gunning it at nighttime. That's that because you wouldn't want to. It's like a dark park at night. But yeah, they do an incredible job of it. So it's right in just like there's like terraced housing. There's like or like housing estates with like people pushing buggies around, like almost right next to it. Like it is just a park in the middle of a suburban area. It's like, it's not downtown either. So I was really surprised. I was like, wow, yeah, this is just like, there's like cafes and restaurants. Like this is just a park. And it's almost the dream of modern F1 with all their city circuits, but like an actual circuit that they convert from park. I was super impressed by it. And like the craziest part, I think I put in one of the videos, I mightn't have uploaded all of them, was the exit of turn 4. So where Alonso went off after the long straight, there is a right-hander and then a left-hander. And that left-hander was just a big car park. It was they must do so much work to put up barriers and gravel and everything because, yeah, for significant parts of it, I was like, I know where I am, but it doesn't really look like it. Like, it looks like somebody took the track from this racing game and put it into like Grand Theft Auto or City Skylines or something. It was really impressive.
What's the turn at the end of that DRS straight that goes left, right?
Oh, the bendy DRS straight with all the palm trees on the right?
No, it's like a chicane. That I watched your video. You were driving like super slow through this left, right. And I can't believe that F1 cars do it.
Oh yeah,
at like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
Yeah, it was really amazing. Yeah, I my favorite turn taking was the one I just mentioned there, which was the like in sector 2, the back straight, where they have the really fast left right between the two little straights.
I think that's what I'm talking.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that was my favorite because that was the one part where it felt like, oh yeah, okay, I'm doing this and then doing that. They have the pit entry is there. It's just like they have a couple of bollards in front of it, but like I could see the pit entry. I was like, I did that final turn. I was like, oh, this is like a hard turn in a street car. Like you know that, like, not the final turn, the penultimate turn. You know, like the super sharp left-hander that's right at the end. Yeah, that was like, I was like, oh geez, this is even tighter than I imagined. And and I was in a Kia Ceed or something. I don't know, it was a little tiny thing. Yeah, it was really cool. I was so happy I did it. It put me in a great mood for the rest of Melbourne. And like everyone goes there and they're like, oh, they go on like the scenic ocean drive and they go to like, go look at the arcades downtown and on all this sort of stuff. And I did a good amount of that, or like the MotoGP. So I didn't end up going, and the reason why is because I couldn't make it back in time for the for the patron meetup because I met some people. There was like a bunch of people with like Aprilia jackets in my hotel, and I'm like, "Oh, are you going to Phillip Island?" They were like, "Yeah, we've been there all weekend." And I was like, "What's it like on Sunday?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, getting out takes forever. So most people take shuttle buses and stuff like that." So apologies to everyone. I did not watch the motor race. I was bummed. I would have loved to have done it, but my mea culpa is I did get to drive around the Melbourne track and set a pretty good time of probably about 12 minutes.
Great. All right. Well, Danny, do you want to kick things off in the news section here?
Yeah, sure. Tapegate. Let's talk about tape.
You want to do a little reset? We've been talking about this a little bit.
Yeah, it's the funny one, right? So this is the whole thing where Lando has been needing a little extra help on where to stop at the start of the lap in his pit box. So McLaren have been using
his grid box.
His grid box, sorry, yeah. For the start of the race because you want to be as far forward as possible, but not too far forward because then you get a penalty. Yes, and McLaren were helping him by putting some tape on a wall. And apparently there has been an ongoing feud with Red Bull where they have been stripping the tape off the wall, or at least attempting to, creating scenarios where apparently, quote here from the race, at one stage McLaren also put 2 layers of tape on the wall in case the top one did get quickly removed, with the second layer reading, "Better luck next time." They also did the classic horizontal tape over the vertical tape to try and make it so they need to do multiple ones. So this has been an ongoing bit of pit lane. What would we call it?
The race called it skullduggery.
Skullduggery is good.
That's perfect.
I would use cover your children's ears for this one. There's a great term we use a lot in football, soccer, the Queen's football, called shithousery. This also falls into a bit of that, I think. Yeah, just japes. But Red Bull did get fined. I think it was 50,000, and then maybe.
Yeah, we talked about that. Not for the tape thing itself, but for like ignoring a marshal's orders and being somewhere where you shouldn't be when the race is about to start.
While they were trying to probably futz with the thing that said "better luck next time."
Exactly.
So yeah, absolute ridiculous Laurel and Hardy type stuff. So yeah,
but this is like why I love F1. Like this is the sort of like silly stuff that I really enjoy.
There's nothing against the rules with this random tape saying you can't take the tape. There's nothing in the rule saying you can put the tape up, or you can, this exists in a legal dark zone. This is international waters. But Red Bull have said that they will stop trying to remove the McLaren tape. Lando, as part of this, has also said that he doesn't use it anymore. He said, "I used it for a little while, and they tried to remove it already in Monza and a couple other places." So that's where we kind of made it like the F1 passes that you can never get out. What? I don't even know how that sentence. Sorry, wrong sentence. It was amazing to kind of try to see them taking it off and not going to plan. I'll continue to use it. Sometimes I never use it at all because it's almost too far away, and sometimes I do. So, yeah, I thought Tapegate might be over for us all. But there you go.
All right. Also closing off another news story that we had touched on earlier in the year. We brought up the fact that Aston Martin had, quote unquote, broken the cost cap. Basically, this boils down to it was a procedural breach. It was more like you didn't turn in a form on time. So they have now accepted that procedural breach and otherwise have complied with the 2024 cost cap. So everything is copacetic there. So just wanted to cover that off.
Nice.
If anyone was
we love a procedural
lingering, thinking about
breach.
Maybe they're going to get docked or something. It doesn't seem like they are.
It's the worst thing that happens in sport is when your team gets really badly affected by somebody not filling out some paperwork. The worst one I can remember in recent memory is Crystal Palace, the football team in South London, qualified for the Europa League. And there was a piece of a document that needed to be filed if one of your executives has holdings in another team within the league. And they simply forgot to file it, and they got kicked out of the Europa League into the lower European
God.
competition. It was the first time they qualified for it. And yeah, it was just because some idiot forgot to sign a piece of paper, and it probably cost them millions in advertising, and absolutely bummed out their fans because they qualified so high last year. But yeah, it's qualified. Sure, we're in F1 land. I'll use that word.
Sure. A little bit of driver news here, Rob. What can you tell us?
First of all, there was some discussion or possibility that Jack Doohan might find his way back into the Alpine race seat for the close of the season. The race has a story that is frankly a little bit heartbreaking, describing how this all unfolded. This is Scott Mitchell-Malm over at the race, the-race. Basically, there's kind of a couple things going on. Obviously, Flavio was like, we're evaluating both drivers. Let's see what happens toward the end of the year. No, that's not quite what's been going on. The story outlines, and it makes me think the sourcing is primarily from Doohan's camp, because it's sort of a litany of grievances. But they do sound like shitty grievances. Doohan is technically Alpine reserve driver. Usually that means you're kind of enmeshed in the team's race prep, between races, their factory effort. That's not happening for Doohan.
Too much
Doohan is not getting like simulator time that he's supposed to as a reserve driver during race weekends. It sounds like he's kind of just being ignored as reserve driver. He has been allowed to test old Alpine cars at his own expense. They're not giving him track time on their dime. And so the final thing here was contingent for him. Him getting to drive at the end of the season was contingent on him coming up with money, basically, to fund the seat for those three races. Which apparently, like the Doohan camp did. They did find like sponsorship to get him in the car for those three races, but it didn't sway Briatore. Presumably, it was just not competitive with the money that Colapinto is already bringing to the table. So, it kind of sounds like Doohan is out of luck at Alpine. He and his family are sort of looking at other options where they might go. But surprisingly, the other thing that's emerged from this is that Alpine is apparently fairly bullish on Colapinto. That despite it being a pretty underwhelming sophomore campaign for him in a lot of respects, they have seen progress they wanted to see. But also, again, he is bringing in money for the seat and also brings a fan base. So there's sort of the value proposition is that he brings enough positives with him that it's worth sort of putting up with the inconsistent form he's shown throughout the year. Doohan, I don't know. Apparently, he and his camp still want to stay at Alpine, but the writing is on the wall. Apparently, Alpine already is pretty interested in the junior driver they've got coming up, Paul Aaron, I think it is. So it doesn't look good for him. It never did.
Yeah.
This really does seem like he was sort of ritually sacrificed by Alpine this year, and seems like a shitty situation. Situations that are currently backburnered. Red Bull have said they are not making any 2026 lineup decisions just at the moment. They are going to evaluate things toward the end of the year. But there's a couple things that do seem to be increasingly likely. As we sort of expected, there is a lot of... It's not quite an open secret. It hasn't gotten that far, but there's a lot of indications that the team is leaning toward promoting Isaac Hadjar for next year to race alongside Max. And the team has been pretty favorably impressed by this past weekend. They did a ton of driver testing. Everyone did a ton of young driver tests at Mexico. So, free practice one, they had other drivers in there. That was a chance to evaluate them. Arvin Lindblad is sort of the senior of the Red Bull young driver program, and apparently he was impressive to the team. So they're giving him some serious thought to promoting him into the RB squad. Hard to say what this spells for Lawson or Tsunoda. Doesn't seem like it spells anything good. But again, this all remains up in the air. But it does seem like Hadjar's the front runner to move up. Seems like there's a lot of momentum to put Lindblad in an F1 car next year, which means they probably only have one seat left between Lawson and Tsunoda. And Tsunoda's been here a while. They sort of probably if they demote him again, my suspicion is that they've seen what they feel they need to see. I'm not sure there's a point to demoting him at this point, which is unfortunate, but that's where things have ended up.
Yeah, I'm sick of this second seat. I'm really just getting, because I don't want Isaac Hadjar getting put in that situation either. There was more reporting this week from the racefans.net, Perez getting quoted talking about how tricky a driving style it is and how it's you have to adapt to it and you're falling behind because it's designed for Max, and it's just
he says the quiet part out loud.
Right.
I think because he now has a seat and he doesn't care anymore. Hey, whatever, I'm driving for Cadillac. He says you have to constantly be adapting to the needs of Max. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Which is
I think your Hadjar's representation. I mean, if you could get them to, I think there's a lot of incentive to try and keep him in the RB seat because the car's competitive with the second Red Bull seat historically, and right now he looks like a hero. But yes, that second Red Bull seat has a tendency to make you look like a chump.
I gotta believe like this is a long running problem with Red Bull, right? And they've got to be tired of it too because they want more points. They want to be top of the championship ladder.
When do we think it didn't exist? Like Ricardo is the earliest I can think of a second seat in the Red Bull.
But like you pick a design for your car and you're kind of stuck iterating on that, right? Because you can't make whole hog changes to it without completely jeopardizing the good parts. So I'm hoping for Isaac Hadjar's sake that in 2026 they have addressed that.
Yeah,
and
new regulations, new cars. Yeah,
right. They have taken the opportunity to do a more ground-up approach and make things a little more even. But who knows? We will only see next year.
Yeah, getting excited for next year now.
Yeah, last one here, a little quick hit for all the nerds out there. I thought this was fascinating. A security researcher. Rob, do you know anything about this? You hear this all the time. Security researcher found vulnerability in X website. Are they just going out there and like white hat hacking for fun? Do they get
I think so.
Invited
people
to
at
do
404
this?
Media would be better situated to follow this, but I picked up a little bit from hanging around like Joseph Cox over there. So that could mean that they are a white hat that is just sort of seeing how sites or services could be cracked. But another key part of this of doing this kind of research is existing in spaces online where gray hats and black hats are hanging out because they all like. Nobody shuts up about this stuff. So they actually tend to talk pretty freely about where these things are at. So vulnerabilities get discussed and disseminated. And so part of what you do in those spaces is you keep your ear to the ground for exploits that have popped up, and then you see where you can apply them and what else might be vulnerable. So it is a mix of like being a white hat hacker, but also a bit of someone who's just hoovering up a lot of what you call like open source intelligence about what's happening in the black hat space.
Yeah, and there are bug bounties that organizations will issue, and then your white hat hackers will go out there and discover vulnerabilities or claim those bug bounties for a cash prize. So this guy Ian Carroll seems like an actual security professional. It seems unbidden by the FIA, hacked their website and has posted a blog post about how he did it. He also posts a timeline of like, listen, here's when I discovered this vulnerability. Here's when I told them about it. This is all on the up and up, I guess relatively speaking. So I'm not like blowing him up or anything or doing anything illegal. He said he didn't actually access or look at any personally identifiable information. He let them know that, hey, here is your vulnerability. I also got to believe this is like an ego thing. Like, hey, man, here's how I cracked your website. But it's kind of great if you are technically inclined. He's talking about JSON responses and looking through JavaScript, and but then down at the bottom here, it's kind of wild. He accesses internal FIA communications where they're talking about, should this driver get a silver, or should he get demoted to silver in terms of his licensing, or what should we do about this? And then he straight up has, like, there's a link here to a PDF of Max Verstappen's passport.
His driver's license, apparently his resume, which I found funny. Why does Max get a job as a barista on the weekends?
You've got to submit it to the FIA if you want your super license, right? Listen,
makes sense.
Here's how I've done it. So that's, you can take a look at this if you want.
Do identity theft people go for celebrities? I was just thinking, like, if you had Max Verstappen's passport, I guess not everyone in the world knows who Max Verstappen is, but,
a lot of people, like, blackmail, extortion, those are things.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's a red hat hacker. We're going through all the hats here. Red hat ones are the vigilantes.
The FIA has said that, we became aware of a cyber incident and we have taken immediate steps to secure drivers' data, et cetera, et cetera.
Sound like Colonel Campbell.
Snake.
The lolly lule low. That was more of a snake voice I did there, sorry. Colonel.
All right, that's it for the news. And that's it for, we already went through the driver standings. If you'd like to join the standings yourself, you can join the Shift+F1 Fantasy League. And here I'll run down the podium for the Mexico City Grand Prix and overall. By the way, my team, Rhymes with Orange, got 9th in the Mexico City.
Well done.
Round.
Very
Thank
impressive.
you very much.
Thank
you very much. But here's the podium. In third, the Moist Qualies.
Excuse me? Mm-hmm. What is that a reference to?
Not sure.
Maybe moist.
When there's rain during qualifying.
Qualies.
In second, In Denial That Fits.
That's it. Was there a question mark at the end of the name, or did you add that for flavor?
I added that editorialization. And then in first, from Mexico, It All Makes Signs to Me.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Love it.
But overall, the podium looks like this. In third, The Fast of Us 2025. And boys, we have another change of lead.
Wow.
In second, Ukulele, parentheses, Endor 8000. And in first, once again, F1 banned my team name.
Wow. As art as in life.
That's right.
Amazing. Congratulations, everyone. You're almost at the end. Almost.
You can send us an email if you like. shiftf1podcast@gmail.com or f1.cool/emails. You can also hit us up on the socials using links in the show notes. And that is us around the internet. Danny, do you want to take it around the world?
Let's race around the world. Come on, chickens. Join in. Yeah.
We've got the end of the NASCAR and Friends season this weekend. They are all at the Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, AZ, for the Craftsman Trucks Championship race, the Xfinity Series race. We've also got Super GT at the Mobility Resort Motegi.
Woo!
That's in
Twin Ring.
the Haga
Twin
district.
Twin Ring.
Tochigi Prefecture. We've also got the NHRA Nationals, and the Nevada Nationals, rather, at the Strip at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Ooh.
And we got NASCAR.
Y'all.
Capping things off at Phoenix in the Cup Series Championship.
That's it. No sponsor
What's going on?
required.
No sponsored coin. What's going on this weekend? Danny, what happened this day in history?
October 29th, having won his second world championship with Benetton at the Pacific Grand Prix held in Ida, Japan, Michael Schumacher showed he was not on cruise control in the next race, held on this day in 1995. The Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka Circuit. I love that. They had two races in Japan that year.
Cool.
He dominated the weekend, taking pole and win, with his teammate Johnny Herbert taking third. Meant Benetton won the constructors title as well. Suzuka has always been one of Mika Häkkinen's favorite tracks, but his second place in the race that day was a remarkable achievement for the Finn, who was still recovering from an appendix operation, which had kept him out of the previous round. We saw that with Sainz.
Yeah.
Last year, 2 years ago. Hard to remember.
Like that. Is that when Behrman filled in?
Wow, is it really?
I think
Baby
so.
Behrman.
Yeah.
So, been last year.
Baby Behrman.
All right, well, that is Mexico. Final thoughts, Danny.
Oh boy. This is great content for F1 content, people. We are every week having to redraw the war map and go like, oh, Verstappen might be out of this actually now, but Lando suddenly surging late. Look at this. So yeah, it's interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in Interlagos about how the delta between these two McLarens maybe gets shorn up. It's also a track I feel like where incidents happen quite a lot, or can. So yeah, I'm fascinated. Do we want this to go down to the end? I guess we do.
Yeah, of course.
I guess it kind of always will at this stage. There'll always be, chances are they'll be within 25 points of each other, which means there's always a chance. But how tight it is going down to that final round is going to be pretty crazy. Yeah, this is turned out to be a very interesting season. Very cool.
Indeed. Final thoughts, Rob.
With every race, I can only imagine being Gunther Steiner and realizing that Haas fixed the situation by firing the guy whose job it was to make the car suck. And that guy was you.
Amazing.
Yeah, Ali Behrman, driver of the day. As well. Yeah. Amazing drive. Great work.
If you would like to support the show and get access to all of our bonus episodes, the early ad-free version of the podcast, and the official Shift F1 Discord, you can do so over at patreon.com/ShiftF1. Have a good race weekend, everyone. We will see you all next week.